Good evening, all. Am I audible? Yes. Okay. Happy to be here and present it's a fantastic show and great agenda. Meaningful presenters, lot of good content, lot of takeaways. I'm sure it's a case with everybody. And I'm here to share some of our experience personally as Capgemini and how we were able to Tricent is as a trusted partner. We have come a long way in the last couple of years, and some of the quick prelude is what we are planning to share here. Let me start with what we have done. I think Capgemini is pioneer in releasing the World Quality Report. I'm sure many of you are constantly referring as key import Bible benchmark. The 1819 release was the 10th release and or edition of the World Quality Report. I'm trying to borrow some of the key insights from that to share what the trends and what we are trying to do or what's happening in the industry, especially on the quality engineering and assurance world is concerned, right? So if you really look at, there are 2 or 3 interesting change which is happening and partially noticed and talked about by various leaders in the meeting today. So one is the overall the trend or in terms of the testing, the spend is actually coming down optically, right? Why I said optically it is coming down because one side, the traditional testing, traditional, the functional automation stuff, a lot of these are coming down though. There are many other ways or the new ways of working or new ways of, delivering things, smart testing. You're talking about, the AI cognitive, many of them have talked about it. I'll share some insights. Tricentis and they're already, the early starter on that. There is a model-based testing, model-driven development, model-driven delivery. I think this is, again, very unique, the key fact which we are trying to find it. This is the report which is out of 1,500 plus CIOs and the VP engineering, essentially, given in terms of the various inputs, right? And that's the whole aspect of it, right? So what is that, the key takeaway or a few things which primarily the trend is all about, right? One, we said, the reduction in QA, but, how do you really relook at in terms of expanding your scope in terms of the various other new ways of working, new ways of activities and all of that, right? One of the interesting change which is actually, coming into picture, which was, the customer-centric, customer-focus. How is that really making a big sense, right? And that's actually is in line with, the AI cognitive, if you really look at it, or maybe the various immersive experience, right? Because today, you're trying to shift left one side of the story, and then how do you really move up? How do you bring the customer or end user even in the early part of the life cycle, right? By bringing in a crowd or by bringing in the beta users and the operational acceptance and variety of aspects of it. And there is a big part of that is coming from predictions and the lot of descriptive user analytics or sentiment analysis. A lot of these aspects is helping you in terms of what is that customer is really looking at, right? So you don't want to invent the wheel in terms of, go to the market and then try to find out how the customer is going to really interact with the systems, which is too late in the game and probably that is not going to help you, right? That's an important thing. And then, the automation, if you really look at, is continuing to be a key game changer. Intelligent automation. What do we mean by intelligent automation? Is not just, looking at, even Amit was talking about it, that, how do you really bring in, the self-contained autonomics or self-learning, monitoring, and the healing functions, right? So some point in time, or maybe the past concerns of script maintenance and it is high, probably, don't do automation, or what to be automated and a lot of that. But today what happens is, your scripts, or maybe in a few years from now or few quarters from now, it becomes self-contained, self-healing, self-monitoring itself, right? If not 100%, but most of that is going to happen. So your script development effort or maintenance effort is going to be, higher than your recreation, right? So it is more like, fire and forget type, right? You can recreate it as quick as possible because of the sophisticated mechanisms or the framework and the reusable assets like what Tricentis have built in. What is some of the interesting changes here we are observing, and possibly, you would see that as well, in terms of, the markets and what the CIOs and some of the CMOs and CDOs are trying to look at, right? So today, the delivering the KPIs, or maybe, what the service delivery commitments is not enough, right? One, because of, the lot of partners, a lot of solutions, a lot of providers, and things like that, right? So if you really look at as a Toyota model, right, from 90s and then where we are today, right? The cost of the car in 90 was, let's say, $40,000, and then today the same car with a lot of luxury, a lot of accessories, and moonroof, sunroof, and with alloys, still you get it at 25K, right? If you really look at it, that's the way it is. What does that mean, right? The unit price is drastically coming down, right? And that's what is happening, and that is what is needed in the market, right? How do you really cope up with that situation? Can we really, same strategy, same model is not really going to help us, right? So you may have to change your approach. You may have to use a lot of new ways of doing, or new ways of new strategies, approaches. For example, a lot of automation. So if you really look at one side of the story where the value has to improve, and by bringing in certain levers, certain approaches and strategies is going to help you. The other side, you will have to reduce your manual footprint, or what are the draggers. For example, a lot of SME supports, which is going to be, the bot driven, right? So you may have a digital assistant, and then whom you can interact with, and then get the quick information for your scenarios or recreation. Impact analysis is automated, so there is no more, the lead or manager is involved in any of those. Things like that, right? And accordingly, if you really look at the rate of automation, is going beyond the traditional 30% notch or 40% notch, right? So today there are places where we are talking about total automation. You take the Tricentis, even the model-based approach. What you create the components, everything is automated, right? 100% automated, which is possible. There is no technical constraint what candidate to be identified and things like that, right? And the power of zero is becoming the new norm, right? The zero defect leakage, zero touch automation, zero touch execution, right? And then always on environment. A lot of these are becoming, the important element of it. And similarly, the new behavior, or new buying behavior, right? From the traditional T&M, right? Today we are talking about as a service model, or you're talking about output and outcome based, and even you can take automation as a service and then try to deliver things of that kind, right? So these are the, the various delivery value indicator, and which is actually helping, or maybe the customers are looking at in terms of driving things. This is an interesting thing, right? I'm not a career tester, so I took up the testing, the career path, maybe 7, 8 years back. When I took up, probably my manager did a fantastic job, and then showed me, Prabakaran, this is how the testing landscape, which is good looking, the metal road, and then a few activities have to be done, right? But jokes apart, right? Today, if you really look at it, it is the the terrain, and how many of you like mountain trekking or trekking? I'm sure. Okay, lot of hands are up, right? Once in a year, if you do the trekking, you like it, I like it, everybody can do it. If it is even once in 6 months, it's still fine. But every day you are going to do a trekking, you are going to be bored, or you're going to be, it's going to be cumbersome, right? So today, if you really look at, the testing boundaries are redrawn, right? It is no more just finding the defects and then delivering the products at all, right? The challenges are one side, you have agile, you have, the DevOps, continuous testing, continuous delivery, and then the complexities of the application is on the rise, right? That is one side of the story. And then, you're still, the delivery cycle from 3 months have become 1 month, 1 month has become 1 week. There are places where you have a daily builds and then daily test, right? How do you cope up all of this? You cannot really use the traditional tools or approaches and strategies, right? Which is where, you will have to bring in the various tools. Our friend talks about, the homes and then, some of the intelligent Azure and, AI concepts and all that. Capgemini, again, looked at in a similar fashion, how are we trying to partner or look at our partner solutions along with, our own investments and, how does that help? Was the, the approach or the principle behind how we are trying to make it up today, right? So this is our new ways of working and a few insights. I'm sure, it will be useful to give some more insights on that, right? There are 4 or 5 key focus or key drivers and how we manage and then we are able to, cope up with our customers as well as, motivating and reskilling, upskilling our workforce is concerned, right? The first and foremost comes into picture, I think, the insight-led testing, a lot of talked about AI or cognitive and whatever, right? The idea is, in the last, 1 year, if you really look at, or maybe today's trend, 2.5 quintillion data bytes is produced on daily basis, right? So amount of data and available with you is, tremendous data. But what you can do with the data is up to us and then how we are going to take it, right? Number one. Number two, why this AI is also important is, by 2020, the Gartner predicts that, there is going to be, or maybe today, the investment on the AI cognitive, the systems is about $12.6 billion, right? But by 2020, it is almost threefold, right? $45 billion of money which is getting in, and that is a system which is getting, built. How do you test it? What do you do, right? So you need a different approach. So we use a lot of these data for, the descriptive, prescriptive, and predictive analytics, or analysis, or machine learning, or even NLP comes into handy stuff, and then helps you to really achieve certain things, right? So we use, I'll throw some of the examples like the user and usage-based analytics, right? So a lot of times we try to identify or maybe ask the customer what to test, how many browsers, or what type of, type of test suites and the systems we need to test it, right? But even for them, it is shooting in the dark, right? They may tell you or give you certain details. But today, with a lot of social data, social information, tweets and all of that, we are able to identify what type of browsers, what type of customers in what geos, which we need to test it and things like that, right? This is one. Similarly, the production analytics, right? I may say that, hey, I have delivered a system with 0 defects to the production, but still there is incidents coming from the, from the end customers, right? There is something, something not right. So can you really look at the production incidents, production logs, and then, if you really apply some of the models and machine learning, algorithms, you're able to get some interesting scenarios that, hey, so many of the missed outs is primarily, the service stability issues, or it could be the environment, or it could be something else, and which you are able to try and identify, help the customer, which is where the interesting, the customer experience I talked about. The model-based testing, many of you might be using it. We actually, today big on that. The reason because, the morning Wolfgang also talked about, huge productivity improvement and effort savings, right? The reason, very simple reason, right? Instead of, maintaining your requirements and test cases and test scripts and different skills and all of that, today you create a model and the model is the one single reference, right? This is where I was talking about your maintenance is going to be significantly low. Because once a model is created, subsequently any impact, any changes, or any enhancements is essentially on that, right? And then your script is an outcome of it, or the test cases are going to be an outcome of it. We actually, today use a lot of our the model-based delivery models and the Tricenty solutions in various customers, which is significantly 60 to 70% of your effort, authoring effort, comes down, right? If you've not tried out, you should, as my a sincere point of thing. And then the end-to-end testing is one interesting stuff, or intelligent automation side. If you really look at it, I think various elements of go beyond functional automation, right? Very simple stuff is, the automation is, or functional automation is only tip of iceberg. You do it as 20%, 30% of it, but, the really leaving, the whole life cycle, which is another 70, 80% of it. So today, we try to look at, the APIs, or primarily, the pervasive automation, where you try to do a lot of API automation, component automation, and the services are virtualized, so that you are able to run in parallel and while the development is happening, so that by the time your code is ready, you have literally the system is ready to test, or maybe pre-built components are ready. So literally your shift left is working here, and that is the way we try to take it up. Lastly, right, there are a lot of discussion happened on the continuous integration, continuous testing. If you really need to build your expressway, not just by automation is an important element, but at the same time, there are going to be roadblocks like, your availability of environment on time, availability of your data and data provisioning, data checks. These are going to be a big hindrance, right? So you have to look at it as a holistic solution, so that, end of the day, you are able to really get the right ROI when you are trying to look at continuous testing, or maybe, the big automation ROI, and so on and so forth. I think that's, the quick sense, or a quick few updates I wanted to, share it. And these are all really, powered by the various sensors, which is coming from your IoTs, or your various tools and products you're talking about, right? So that way it has become intelligent, self-monitoring, and then, self-healing at any point in time. Last point in terms of, how are we trying to get it, right? Do we get enough investment? The answer is no. And our idea is not to reinvent the wheel at all, right? So there are 2 or 3 things we smartly do it today is a lot of, the startup, and we partner with or look at some of the startups, especially on the AI cognitive, and how do they really help in accelerating the solution. The partner ecosystem is strong. We have strategic partners like Tricenty, and the last 3 years we were able to certify or enable close to about 10,000 users, or maybe the engineers are fully certified on AS1, AS2, which is huge, right? And that is really helping us to really accelerate and possibly position the solutions. And still we are looking at a lot more, and in the recent products and recent solutions. I think we'll have a great plans for the years to come, and for 19, and I'm sure this is going to help in driving our growth and the way we deliver the commitments to our customer. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prabhakar. I would request Clayton Baxter to come onto the stage and hand over a memento to Prabhakar. A big round of applause for Prabhakar. Thank you.